Welcome to Golden Aging Health. Today, I want to open a quiet conversation about love after 60, and why some women leave a mark on a man's heart long after the moment has passed. At this stage, it isn't about beauty or charm, it is about something far more enduring, something that whispers rather than shouts. In the golden years, dating after 60 carries a different weight. Love doesn't need to prove itself anymore. It doesn't compete with anyone, and it doesn't fade when the years pass. Instead, it settles in quietly, built on emotional truths that reach deeper than appearances. For many older men, what makes a woman unforgettable is not how she looks, but how she makes him feel. The real secret is that there are a few rare feelings that anchor a man's heart at this stage of life. They cannot be measured, but they are remembered. They are the kind of feelings that say, "Here I am understood. Here I am safe." And once a man experiences them, he never forgets. So, in this video, I want to share the 3 quiet truths that most people never talk about, but every older man knows in his bones. If you've ever wondered what truly attracts a man in his later years, or how real senior romance unfolds, this is for you. If this speaks to you, I invite you to join me here at Golden Aging Health, where we reflect on wisdom, love, and the connections that still matter most in our golden years. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe so you won't miss the next conversation we share together. Let's begin with the first feeling that anchors a man's heart at this stage of life. Feeling number 1. He finds emotional peace with her. When I reflect on what truly draws an older man closer in his golden years, the very first thing I think of is peace. Not the kind of peace you find by turning off the noise of the television or locking the front door at night. I mean the kind of peace that enters a man's chest when he is sitting with a woman who makes him feel completely safe to be himself. This is what people today call emotional safety in relationships. And for men over 60, it matters more than most people realize. You see, after a lifetime of striving, competing, and shouldering responsibilities, many older men reach a point where they feel tired of having to prove themselves. For decades, we've been someone's husband, father, provider, or protector. And while those roles gave meaning, they also brought pressure. We get used to wearing masks of strength, to hiding our fears or weaknesses, because we learned early that vulnerability might be judged. So when a man reaches his 60s or 70s, what he quietly longs for is a space where he can finally lay that mask down. I remember a story from my friend Robert, who was 62 when he went through a painful divorce. He once told me that the hardest part wasn't the paperwork or even the loneliness of an empty house. The hardest part was the exhaustion of constantly defending himself. For years, he felt like every silence needed to be explained, every decision needed to be justified, as though he was always on trial in his own marriage. It left him drained, not just in body, but in spirit. Then he met a woman named Teresa. She was different. She didn't press him to talk when he wasn't ready. She didn't demand answers or corrections. She didn't scold him for choosing quiet over chatter. Sometimes she simply sat beside him, letting the silence be enough. Robert told me once with tears in his eyes, "For the first time in years, I could breathe." That, my friend, is what emotional peace feels like for a man. The philosopher Epictetus once said, "No great thing is created suddenly." Peace between two people is exactly like that. It doesn't appear with fireworks or grand romantic gestures. It grows slowly, gently from a woman's steady presence. It shows itself in the way she listens without rushing to fix him, in the way she accepts his pauses without judgment.
in the way she allows him to be himself without fear of being diminished. And here's something I've come to see in my own life. Men who have lived through storms value calm waters more than anyone else. A man who has carried chaos on his shoulders will treasure the quiet sanctuary of a woman's acceptance above all else. Youth and beauty fade, but the gift of emotional peace is what makes a man stay. So when an older man finds a woman who offers him this rare shelter, he doesn't just notice it, he cherishes it. He may not always put it into words, but in his heart, he knows he has found something sacred. In her presence, he finally finds rest. And as he rests, something else quietly stirs inside him, something that only the right kind of woman can awaken.
Feeling number 2. Her presence awakens his inspiration. If peace is the ground where love after 60 can grow, then inspiration is the light that keeps it alive. At this stage of life, inspiration is not about ambition or chasing dreams the way it might have been in our 20s. It is not about proving ourselves through titles or possessions. Instead, it is about the inner spark, the reminder that life is still worth leaning into, still worth creating and cherishing. For older men, what makes a woman unforgettable is not just that she soothes him, but that she stirs something within him. Her presence whispers to him that he is not finished yet, that he still has gifts to offer, still has love to give. And here is the truth. After decades of routine and responsibility, many men quietly begin to wonder if their best days are behind them. The right woman reminds him they are not. She reflects back to him the strength and tenderness he thought he had lost. Albert Camus once wrote, "In the depth of winter, I finally learned that within me there lay an invincible summer." Inspiration in love is exactly that. A woman does not give a man a new summer. She simply helps him remember the one that has always been within him. Her smile, her words, her very way of being become gentle mirrors that show him his own vitality. And here is something important. True inspiration does not come from pressure. It is never about telling him who he must become. Instead, it is about creating the space where he naturally remembers who he already is. She does not hand him new dreams. She helps him uncover the dreams that were buried under years of silence and fatigue. This is why her presence matters so deeply. She does not awaken ambition, but aliveness. She reminds him that he is still becoming, not just growing old. She shows him that even in the later chapters of life, there is beauty in unfolding, in deepening, in sharing. When a man finds this kind of inspiration, he does not feel pushed forward. He feels invited forward. And that invitation feels like grace. It is not an order. It is not a demand. It is a quiet opening. And in that opening, he rediscovers himself. Let me ask you something. Have you ever known someone who made you feel more alive just by being around them? I'd love to hear your story in the comments, because your reflections may awaken inspiration in someone else too. The philosopher once said that love is not about looking at each other, but looking together in the same direction. I believe inspiration is that direction. When a woman awakens it in a man, he not only sees her more clearly, but he sees himself more clearly too.
And as his spirit begins to awaken again, there comes a moment when he feels ready to offer something even more tender, something rarer than words. He feels ready to give his trust.
Feeling number 3. He trusts her with his deepest truth. I once knew a man named Harold, 71 years old, who remarried after many years of being alone. His new wife, Ellen, wasn't loud or demanding. She listened more than she spoke. And in that gentle space, Harold found himself sharing stories he had never told anyone, not even his children. He spoke of mistakes, regrets, and fears he had carried in silence for decades. He once told me, "With her, I can hand over the broken pieces of my life and know she won't throw them away." That is what trust looks like in a man's later years. You see, trust after 60 is not blind faith. It is not about closing our eyes and hoping for the best. It is about daring to place the most fragile parts of ourselves in someone else's hands. It is like offering a cracked, delicate bowl full of history, full of memory, and whispering, "Please, don't let this fall." When a man gives that to a woman, it is not just confidence, it is reverence. And here is what makes this trust so powerful. It transforms shame into dignity. When his past mistakes are not judged, but held with care, he feels whole again. He realizes that he is not defined by what went wrong, but by the courage to share it. In that moment, he knows he is truly seen and accepted. Trust at this age is less about promises and more about presence. A man does not need vows written in stone. He needs the quiet assurance that his truth will not be used against him. He needs to know that when he lays bare his regrets, his fears, and even his longings, they will be received with tenderness. That kind of trust is rare, but when it exists, it becomes the soil in which lasting love can grow. And there is something else worth noting. When a man feels that trust, he begins to open in ways he never imagined. He may share dreams he thought were too late to pursue, or speak of childhood memories buried for decades. He may even allow his tears to fall, knowing they will not be mocked or misunderstood. That vulnerability is not weakness, it is strength. It is the deepest offering of his heart. When trust is present, love becomes more than romance. It becomes a sanctuary, a safe harbor, where even the most fragile truths can rest. And that is what makes love after 60 not only possible, but profoundly beautiful.
As we've shared these reflections, I hope you see that love after 60 is not about appearances or chasing youth. It is about the emotional treasures that linger long after the first impression fades. He finds emotional peace with her when she becomes the place where he can finally breathe, where old storms give way to calm. Her presence awakens his inspiration when she helps him remember the light within, reminding him he is not finished yet. And he trusts her with his deepest truth when she receives his broken pieces without judgment, turning silence into connection. These things cannot be bought or measured. They live in the pauses between words, in gentle listening, in the sanctuary of being accepted exactly as we are. Love in our golden years is not about starting over, but going deeper. It is companionship that offers presence instead of perfection, wisdom instead of rush, meaning instead of show. So, if you've ever wondered whether love can still surprise you, I want you to know it can.
It may not come with the fire of youth, but it comes with something more enduring: peace, inspiration, and trust. And those together make love later in life not only possible, but profoundly beautiful. If this message touched your heart, please like this video and subscribe to Golden Aging Health so we can continue exploring the quiet truths of love and life together. Until we meet again, take care of your spirit, and may you always know the quiet strength of love that lasts.